Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Kelly Thompson coming to you from the Quad Cities Community Foundation. We're so grateful for you to join this conversation with us about Teens for Tomorrow, our youth philanthropy program. Before we get started, I just wanted to say, give a couple of examples of opportunities that are coming out right now that really align with our mission here to transform the region through the generosity of donors. So a couple opportunities related to those generous donors and generous opportunities are scholarships. Scholarship applications are open now. They are available through February 15th at qccommunityfoundation.org. And similarly, grant opportunities from this great youth philanthropy program we're about to talk about, available to nonprofits throughout the Quad Cities who are focused on the same issues these teens are focused on, are also available through February 15th. So let's take a step back and hone in on that program that we're here to talk about. Again, I'm Kelly. I am the Vice President of Grantmaking and Community Initiatives here at the Community Foundation. I have had the joy of working with our Teens for Tomorrow program since 2013. This youth philanthropy group was formed in 2002 at the Community Foundation because of gifts from generous donors and the work of great volunteers and staff here over the years, and of course the work of those young people. If after this conversation you are so moved to support this work, we do have an endowment that supports this program at the Community Foundation. We'd be happy to talk to you about how you can give and help that. So, Teens for Tomorrow. Before I talk too much about it, I think the best people to talk about it are its members and its past members. And so I'm so glad to introduce a current member of Teens for Tomorrow, Wini, and a past member of Teens for Tomorrow, Esmeralda. And I'd love to give you two the chance to introduce yourselves. So Wini, tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Wini. I'm from Davenport. I go to Davenport Central, which is where I am right now. Outside of school, I like to draw. I obviously love Teens for Tomorrow. I'm involved in some other community volunteer stuff. And in the fall, I'm hoping to go to Yale, although I haven't officially committed yet.
Fingers crossed. On their part, right? They hope they get you.
Well, I did get in, so I just have to commit.
There you go. All right. How about you, Esmeralda?
Hi, I'm Esmeralda. I was part of Teens for Tomorrow. When I was in high school, I went to United Township. I currently live in Silvis. I went to school at the University of Wisconsin-Madison for 2 years. Decided to come back home, transfer to Western here in Moline. And I graduated with my bachelor's. I'm a general engineer at the Rock Island Arsenal. I just started last week, so I'm actually pretty excited and training and all that. I love dogs. I love volunteering. I love helping my community in whatever way I can.
Absolutely. And congratulations on that new job. I'm really excited for you. So let's start by helping the community understand what Teens for Tomorrow is. So maybe you can each go. Esmeralda, maybe I'll start with you. How would you describe Teens for Tomorrow to someone who didn't know what it is?
I describe it as like a unique group of individuals that want to see our community enriched. And it's just kind of like a place you can go to meet people that have the same goals, the same driven like mindset. To really better yourself and better the community that is pushing you forward.
I love that description. I hear that a lot from members over the years about how much they like meeting like-minded people who really care about their community. What would you say? How would you describe Teens for Tomorrow?
I would just say it's a lot of very passionate Quad City students who really are interested in learning more about how we can improve our community and learning more about what's already being done and being a part of that work.
Yeah, I think you guys really hit the nail on the head. So this is a group for high school students from across the Quad Cities, right? Both sides of the river, as many high schools as possible, who because this is my kind of frame of reference, I say we bring together these youth who really care and are involved in their communities in different ways, and we teach them to be grant makers and philanthropists, right? Mm-hmm. Who are given some authority over $10,000 a year to grant out into the community, based on what you find the needs are that you care about. So if you think back, Winnie, you don't have to think back as far, so I'll ask you, why did you decide you wanted to be a part of Teens for Tomorrow?
Well, I'm not sure if you remember Nino Lancelotti, But I specifically remember her giving me a ride home one day, and she was like, Winnie, you have to apply. It was her second year at that time. And so she's like, Winnie, you have to apply. You would love it. And they'd love to have you. And it's the perfect thing for you. And so I was like, I don't really know what this is. I have no clue what you're talking about, but I'll try it. And she was right. It was definitely for me.
Yeah, absolutely. That word of mouth doesn't hurt, and getting that word of mouth over the course of the years. How about you, Esmeralda? Thinking back.
My situation was very similar to Winnie's.
Yeah.
We had Bryce Verlinden. He came into our class, kind of introduced what the program was, told us about it, told us about the foundation and kind of like what you guys are about. And that just seemed like something I wanted to be a part of. And I really didn't know anything about it. So I recommend going on their website, really looking into it, really learning what they do. And if that's something that interests you.
Yeah. So thinking back, Esmeralda, what was it like working with students from high schools all across the region, both sides of the river? Was that, something you'd done before, maybe in different circumstances, or was this the first time looking at that kind of whole Quad Cities region with other people?
It was the first time. I wasn't really into any sports or anything. So this is the first time I came together with other students from the schools around my community. And it was interesting just how different other high schools function and what other students, I guess, live in their daily lives and what they think is community needs and compared to what I think. And it was interesting to really come together with such a wide variety of students from even a small region, just how different our lives are.
Yeah, I think that's really true too. I think of it that way too. I never did sports in high school myself. I didn't grow up here, but I do think of that many young people's first introduction to like getting beyond just their city or town or high school is sports, and it's competitive. But Teens for Tomorrow is a way to be introduced to the whole community in a collaborative way of working together. Winnie, I see you nodding. What's it like for you still working with students from all over the river?
Yeah, so I know that every school in the Quad Cities kind of thinks they're the best. And so we all have stereotypes, not necessarily bad ones, but we all have stereotypes about the other schools. And I remember even Nina was like, yeah, some people are going to live up to that stereotype, but it's a good thing because it gives you such different perspectives. And she was totally right. Like everyone from every school has a different view on it. Things are handled differently in cities or even in school districts. And so it's really interesting to see what kind of backgrounds people have when we're discussing these issues.
Yeah, it brings up so many different interesting perspectives and points of knowledge that each of you bring. Like you come together to learn about your community, right? But you also bring knowledge that helps others learn about your community and the way that you experience it. So, and as you bring together those perspectives, you all bring different things you care about, right? So let's talk about those focus areas, because each year, at least now, I don't know if this was always the case, but each year Teens for Tomorrow hones in on certain focus areas you want to grant to. So Winnie, this year, your group is accepting applications right now through February 15th. Tell me about those focus areas and what kind of applications you're hoping to see.
Yeah, so we have 3 this year. The first is education equity, we have social inequities, and racial injustice are our 3 categories that we're accepting applications for. And I think these topics are a little broader, in my opinion, than what we kind of worked with last year. And so I'm really excited to see a variety of different things, especially because so many topics and so much work that's being done can fit into these 3 categories. So I'm just excited to see what work is being done and what are unique ways people are addressing this, especially this year.
Yeah, especially this year.
I remember when we did it, I kind of vaguely remember, it's been about 8 years probably. I remember Kelly, you stood up and you were like, okay, here's some sticky notes, guys. I already write the top 3. And then we all kind of had like the same general ideas, but we kind of have different standpoints on it. And I remember one of them that really hit me was that we were concentrated more on like having necessities, because you can't really do much when you don't have like food, shelter, clothing. And I never really considered like some people don't have those necessities to like go to school or like have a printer at home, like things like that hinder your ability to move forward. And so I really enjoyed learning what other people thought and what other people experienced compared to like what I would see in my daily life.
Yeah. Do you see that too, Winnie, where you can bring, well, here's what I've kind of observed over the years. There's sometimes when the members bring forward topics where they see needs that others have, right? And in many cases, as you bring up, like basic needs or these social inequities that you're talking about, Winnie, about poverty and hunger and homelessness. And then there's also ones brought up over the years that students are experiencing themselves. So education equity might be one, right? Or is everyone getting a fair chance at education? Others over the year have been mental health. Students talk about, this is something I and my peers are dealing with. This is not someone else. This is, me and my friends. So is that something that you've seen as well?
Yeah, it's definitely a mix. I know this year, I think our 3 categories were all things that we felt were exacerbated by COVID and things that were made more complicated. And I remember us having a conversation about, did we want to have a COVID topic or a subgroup that people could apply through? And we thought, well, really, COVID's affecting everything. So we had these 3, but these 3 were issues that COVID was making worse. And so whether they affected us or other people, we recognized that these were issues that were particularly needing support this year.
Yeah, that's definitely what we heard from the group. So I'm thinking back, and sometimes people just do things that stick with you. And Esmeralda, you and I talked about this when we chatted on the phone last week, that I will never forget that in your first year of college, like you said, you were away. You came back at spring break and you said, hey, do you have any flyers? Because I'd love to go back to UT and encourage other people to join Teens for Tomorrow. And just the fact that you had left the program, you'd graduated the program and you still wanted to spread the word on that. Do you remember that? And what was it about your T4T experience that made you feel so strongly to keep recruiting even after you were done?
Yes. So I feel like there wasn't a lot of kids from UT that would do it.
Yeah, not that time.
There was a lack of Illinois students. So when I was part of Teens for Tomorrow, it kind of felt like part of the group, but I kind of felt like out of the group at the same time. So it was more like to try to bring the different community needs from this side of the river. And the reason I thought it was so important is because not only was I part of Teens for Tomorrow, but I also got scholarships that helped me with my college to be able to go to Wisconsin in the first place. And just overall, I made good connections. I made friends that I still talk to you, Kelly, just people that really genuinely care about me and me bettering myself. And I wanted that for other students that needed the help, that were also first generational students that were going to college. I really think Teens for Tomorrow pushed me to continue my education, honestly.
Really? Can you say a little bit more about that?
So I felt kind of like being with students that had the same mindset kind of gave me that mindset that that's what I want, it gave me the experience, and I had a group of people I could ask questions to on how does FAFSA work? What do I need to do going forward? How do I apply for these? Kind of gave me mentors to ask also, hey, can you help me with this essay? Can you look it over? Just kind of having a better group of people that can really help me.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I was glad to keep you connected. You also, you kept serving the Community Foundation, not just through recruiting for Teens for Tomorrow, but you joined one of our grants committees for several years, that you were able to serve in while you were in college, because we did that we were already doing that remotely. Now we do everything remotely. So I'm grateful to you for staying involved all that time.
It was definitely a different experience. I feel like Teens for Tomorrow pushed me to continue that and continue volunteering and continue noticing what's important in my community and how I can help on a daily thing. So I try to help nonprofits. One of my big nonprofits I like to visit is Rescued in Moline, and kind of just donate my time or buy something to help them keep going forward too.
Yeah, good plugs. I love to hear that. Actually, that's a great kind of pivot to this next question. We talk about generosity, right? Generosity is a Community Foundation's mission statement. We really want to celebrate that. And, you all demonstrate generosity by giving of your time and your really focused effort to give out these grants in a really wise and connected way. There's a lot of other ways that people show generosity in our community. Their time, their talents, their treasure. So I wonder if either of you might share an early memory or some example of someone in our community showing generosity that you've seen around you. Winnie, I see you nodding, so maybe I'll ask you first.
Well, okay, I'm in a tag room at Central right now, and I've been in this room every day, basically, that I've been in school for the year, and every day the teacher has candy. And it seems like such a small thing, but it's been a really rough year, and she can hear me. And I come in here, and then I get candy, and I feel so much better. And so every time, and I don't know, I just really love chocolate, and I feel like that's such a good way to make someone's day better. So I think that's very generous.
I think so too. Do you want to name drop that teacher and give them
Miss Nelson, room 501 at Central High School?
You heard it here, everyone. Generosity in action. That's a great example. How about you, Esmeralda?
I would definitely say people's time, just like Winnie was saying, like to just listen to you. Sometimes school gets hard and you just need somebody to vent to, like knows nothing about your life, or, just, I having a stressful week, homework's rough, like applying for jobs, just kind of the generosity of somebody giving you their time, just an ear to listen to. Yeah. And also I would say definitely financially. I got, two very generous donors. I had Jinez, Duke, and Morency family. They really helped me push me forward on my education. My first few years of college, I didn't have to pay anything, and that was a big stressor for me as a first generational college student. Neither of my parents even went to high school. Like, they didn't have those opportunities. So just the generosity of people being able to help people they barely even know, to just, give them an opportunity.
I love those examples, and great reminder that hold back to those scholarship opportunities that people can look into right now, right?
Yeah.
For me, I love those examples, and some examples of generosity for me, I see from the nonprofit organizations, some of which you all grant to, some of which you've given as examples of those you might volunteer with. I heard generosity described in one way as, giving more than is expected. And I see that from the people who volunteer for and work for nonprofits all over the Quad Cities. And they definitely give way more than is expected and are showing up for our community right now and over the years. Whew. So, Winnie, for you, what's been the best part of this program so far? What might you take from it with you as you head off to Yale or whoever is lucky enough to get you?
I think it's just a reminder that there are a lot of passionate people and a lot of people who care. Sometimes if you care very strongly about an issue, it feels a little isolating, like, oh, does anyone else really worried about this? And I think being a part of Teens for Tomorrow has reminded me that a lot of people care about a lot of different things, and that you're never going to have too much trouble finding someone who's passionate about the same things that you are, and that together you can really make a difference in those areas.
Mm-hmm. I do see you all, contributing to the way each other is able to make a difference, right? So of course you can give these $10,000 together that each of you couldn't on your own, but you all learn together and maybe, connect to an organization you didn't even realize, but now you care about a lot, and maybe you volunteer with each other. So I think that reminder that we do this together is so important. Esmeralda, you've had a while longer to carry this on. You've mentioned a couple of these things, but what have you carried forward into your life today?
Definitely looking at things in a different perspective. Like, I feel like it's hard sometimes to put yourself in other people's shoes. And I feel like it taught me how to be more understanding of people and really look at the whole picture and really understand who I am and how I can serve my community. Mm-hmm. It kind of opened the doors on, like you said, continued on their community foundation for granting. And it kind of just opened a lot of doors on me growing as a person and really knowing who I am and what I want to give back, knowing that my community supports me in every single way.
And we do, and they do, and we really see that. I have a last question, but before we go to that, do either of you have questions for each other or me? We said that you could ask me questions too.
I'd love to know what your favorite part of Teens for Tomorrow is, Kelly.
Oh, okay. I would love to share that. Gosh, my favorite part of Teens for Tomorrow is really the members. And every year, just being so curious as to what people will bring with them as far as their passions, as far as your passions, as far as your knowledge, right? Like it's been really cool to see that evolve over the years and see both the things that are different and the trends. So it's that, but it's also just the like enthusiasm. I have to say, miss being in person with all of you. There is just like a fun and a silliness that can incorporate a lot more when we're in person together. But I've also been so gratified by the way that members this year, despite meeting virtually, have stayed engaged and done the work and made the best of it. So it's the members.
Well, I think our favorite part's probably you and our snacks. We miss the snacks. Right?
I miss the snacks too. Yeah. I feel like I should and you've expressed that snacks are really important to you. You mentioned this earlier.
It's true. Common themes here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I guess a final question then before we wrap up from each of you. It boils down to what really matters to you right now. Is there anything you want to say on, what matters to you in our community? What is important? Say community leaders are watching right now. What do you want them to know about what you care about and how they ought to be engaging you and other young people?
I can go first. Right now, I'm really passionate about criminal justice reform. My mom's actually a lawyer in the area, and since I was little, I would watch like legal dramas and crime dramas. So that's something that I've been interested in for a long time. And I think just being willing to ask what younger people think sometimes most of the time, I say we have very different ideas, but very helpful and unique ideas, things that could always add to whatever work we're trying to do. And I think just being willing to reach out is always a good step.
I think that's such a good point, and something that, maybe I even forget and start to take for granted in working with Teens for Tomorrow is that we do give basically this say-so over what is happening all goes to the members, right? It's not like, here is what you may do. It is, here are the parameters. You have all these choices within there and turning those choices to you. So the members regularly say, well, this isn't something we get to do everywhere else. Yeah,
I completely agree with you, Kelly. That was my favorite part, was kind of like, there was really no restrictions. Like, you were there, but just kind of to guide us. It was more about what we wanted. It was kind of like our TED Talk. Like, we could talk, we could split up into groups. It was more like what we wanted, and it was a learning experience from start to finish. And I think it helped. What Wini said is very important, to listen to the younger community, because our needs are changing. And I feel like as older generations don't notice it sometimes, or are so focused on something that is no longer that important. And I think going forward, it's important to continue to service our community and really make our voice heard is a big.
Yeah, well, we're here to help you do that and kind of be that funnel. And I'm so pleased to have had the voices of, more than 200 members over the years since it was started in 2002. And when you think about, where those folks all are now, people like you, Esmeralda, and people like you will be, Wini, out there in the community doing good work. We're really so gratified to see that happen. Well, ladies, thank you so much. This is so fun to have these conversations with you, and I'm so glad people get to hear your voices. And for everyone who's watched, thank you so much. For everyone who will tune into this video later, we really appreciate your time. So final reminders, Nonprofit organizations in Rock Island County and Scott County who want to apply for a Teens for Tomorrow grant. If you are doing work that's aligned with their focus areas, please apply through February 15th. Scholarships, we've talked about those a few times. Students of all ages and going to all different kinds of school programs are welcome to apply for scholarships through February 15th as well. And if this has piqued your interest, if you're a high school student somewhere in Rock Island and Scott counties, or if you will be next year, we hope you'll consider applying for next year. You can find information about that on qccommunityfoundation.org. So again, thanks to Esmeralda and Wini for joining us. Thanks to everybody watching. We at the Community Foundation are looking forward to more conversations like this soon. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.